I was arrested 3 years ago for less than an ounce of marijuana in my trunk. And because of that, the police came to my house because now I must be a kingpin, I must be a gang member. And I just wanted to let you, yes, California, in Fresno, in the south of Fresno. But my point also on that is the gang member thing. They searched my house high and low, and the only thing they took was the movie that my friend Sam Siles directed, Black August, about George Jackson, as proof that I must be a gang member. So I ended up doing 6 months in county jail, which leads to my question about mass incarceration, because people use the word prison a lot, but they don't include the word jail. And that's part of the trickery, and I wanted to know that, is that trickery being investigated as far as Penal Code Section 1170, which now allows felons to be put in jails for years. So Jerry Brown looks like a hero for reducing the prison population. However, Kings County Jail is building a 1,000-man jail in a county that only has 100,000 people. San Francisco has over 800,000 people, not to include how many come in every day, and their jails only beds a little bit over 1,000. So is that trickery being looked into as far as, yeah, we got less in prison, but jails are building?
Well, that's a really good point, particularly within the context of this realignment process that Jerry Brown used in order not to have to follow the court injunction that required the governor to guarantee that at first 40,000. You remember the governor. So Schwarzenegger was supposed to release 40,000 people. And the lengths to which they went to avoid releasing people, and this had absolutely nothing to do with whether the people who were going to be released were, quote, dangerous or not. It was all about the appearance of being soft on crime. And of course, finally, what happened was that this realignment process was developed so that instead of releasing people into the community, they redirected them into jails. And jails are often worse than prisons.
Yes.
Because in jails there are no programs. There aren't that many anymore in prisons, but you know, I spent time, as Stanley reminded me, a half a mile from here in a holding cell. A holding cell. It was like there was nothing there except the cell. That is all. Anyway, if anybody's interested in that experience, I can tell you about that later. But you're absolutely right. Huge numbers of people go through the county jail, the city and county jails, every year. When we talk about the system of incarceration, the prison industrial complex in this country, we have to include not only the federal prisons and the state prisons, but the county jails. And also jails in Indian country. That is a separate category. And also military prisons. And then what do you think is the fastest growing sector of the prison industrial complex?
County jail.
It's immigrant detention facilities.
Yes.
Immigrant detention facilities. So this means that when we talk about mass incarceration, the prison industrial complex, we have to link that. This is again another question of the intersectionality of struggles. Link that with the immigrant rights movement. As a matter somebody mentioned private prisons. Over here, the private prison companies have been responsible for the most repressive legislation against immigrants, because they know that that will mean more immigrant bodies in prison, which means more profit for them. And this is not even to speak about what's happening in other parts of the world and the role that the U.S. is playing in guaranteeing that the strategies within the context of poverty in countries of the global south, encouraged by the U.S., are not to provide help to people, not to provide jobs, not to provide housing, not to provide schools and healthcare, but rather to create more prisons. Latin America, Africa, wherever you go, you see U.S.-style prisons emerging as the primary strategy for addressing a world that relies more on the production of profit than it does on serving people's needs.
Thank you.
But yeah, thank you so much for raising that question.